it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first.
Take your hobby to the next level with a quality racing rig that works great with a PS3, Xbox 360, and a PC. GT Omega Racing Simulator is compatible with a wide range of steering wheels including Logitech, Fanatec, Thrustmaster, and more. The GT Omega is available now worldwide by going to www.gtomegaracing.com.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to ARL-TV and the GP260 series. This is the very final round of Season 1 for our inaugural GP260 series. We're from Watkins Glen this week in the state of New York. My name is Lee Thompson. With me this evening, and on dual duty of camera work as well, is going to be Darren Kirk. Evening, Darren.
Hello Lee, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a nice little race in my my F1 before I passed over into the commentary booth, so I've had a reasonable day. We have got, what are we at, 6 minutes now left of qualifying for, as I said, our very final round of the GP260 series. Of course, we're a real favourite of the drivers this week. You know, Watkins Glen is, you know, a real highlight for the series. The preferred configuration as well, actually, classic boots, so it's a great way to finish off the year, and no doubt we're going to have an awesome race ahead of us. So many opportunities for overtaking, lots and lots of slipstreaming we can expect to see. Looking forward to it, Darren.
Yeah, so am I. I did manage to get out and do a couple of laps in practice.
Okay, great. You can do our chat through the onboard lap. I can't remember what gears or anything for which corners, so you can help us out through there.
Yeah, I'm sure I can vaguely remember.
Okay, well, as I said, we have got a few minutes left of qualifying still, but let's just have a quick run through the top 10, and then we'll keep our eyes peeled for any changes that we see after that. Currently, for a change, we do not have Tony Repisard on pole position. I'm thinking perhaps Tony's going to be doing his trick again from last week, perhaps starting from the back of the grid and then having a bit of entertainment for himself, try and drive his way through. Of course, last week he managed that to come through to the win, which was perhaps slightly embarrassing for everybody else. So who we have got on pole then is Marco Montaldo with a 140.759. In the second we have Wojciech Grabstein. He's just jumped up this very second actually, just 500ths of a second behind. In third we've got Peter Velkov. In fourth we have João Rodrigues. Him and Marco Montaldo have been working closely all qualifying session, towing each other around the circuit. In fifth we've got Nenad Matijevich. In sixth Colin Cunniff. Seventh John Allett. 8th is Paul Nelson, 9th is Liam Williams, 10th is Hugo Preto, 11th is Knut Martinson, 12th is Fabio Mentalini, 13th is Justin Lindsay, 14th is Charles Sears, 15th is Tony Repisard. He hasn't quite got the final spot at the moment because his 16th is Aaron Mullen. I think that leaves us with one more person yet to put in a time, I think, discounting yourself, Darren, in the session, and Tim as well. I think there's one more person who was at.
As Charles
Conrad
said,
Venter.
Conrad.
Venter hasn't put the time in either.
Yeah, you may have noticed on the actual pictures that a lot of the guys are going out with their teammates because a lot of time can be made up with the draft. We've seen quite a few guys go out behind their teammate. One of them will put a lap in, and then they'll swap over and let the other one put a lap in, which is all right if you can get it to work. Obviously, it can have some quite catastrophic consequences if you're the guy behind and you get it slightly wrong.
Yeah, and this is a perfect circuit for it. I mean, really, you're coming out of turn 1. You're towing then all the way through, to, sort of halfway through the lap almost, to turn 5, and a dirty air. You're following behind closely through the corners doesn't really affect the Star Mazdas too much, so you're really able to keep that time, even if you're following closely through the twisties. But say it's just such a long section of full throttle on the circuit that it makes a massive difference. You're really going to be missing out if you haven't got that partner to play with.
Although you can get the benefit if you can be a little bit sneaky and creep out behind someone else that's
yeah,
got
and
a
I have
bit
to say,
paced.
I mean, all season, really, that's what I've been doing in qualifying. So the running I've done, I've just tried to latch onto the back of somebody else, and sometimes it's worked, and sometimes not quite so well. Right, so whilst we've been talking, a couple of changes of position then. Most notably, João Rodrigues, as I said, working with his teammate very closely, has nabbed pole position for the moment. So he's made up an extra 10th on the previous pole. So 1 minute 40.643 at the moment, João Rodrigues. Peter Velkov's also jumped up as well, and he's just 100th of a second ahead of Marco Montaldo in 3rd. So they've still got 2 minutes to go. So that's time for an out lap and then a fast lap, and that's going to be their last opportunities from there.
And I have seen that Tony is out on the track on his own, so I think he is looking to have a bit of fun today, isn't he?
Exactly. He's just going to be looking just to cruise around and just have a bit of fun again. See if he can make it 2 from 2, starting from the back of the grid and getting a win. I think he'll be delighted, no doubt, just if he can manage a podium, let alone the win that he managed to get last week.
Just quickly, I've realised I've forgotten to do something on the actual configuration. All a bit of a rush today.
That's fine. You sort yourself out, Darren. I'll look after everyone for a couple of minutes. So, of course, with this being the very final race of the season as well, we're thinking about the championship standings a little bit as we come into the last, say, minute now of qualifying. Most notably, it's between Marco Montaldo and Nenad Matijevich as to who's going to get 3rd position in the standings, and that's going to be the difference, ladies and gentlemen, of a whole $20 between them. So that's no doubt going to make quite a spice for the two of them to try and get that final position. Marco Montaldo's got the advantage at the minute. He's in 3rd on the grid with Nenad Matijevich in 5th, and it's Matijevich that needs to make up the position. He's 6 points behind Marco in the standings. So we'll see how that plays out through the rest of the race. Right, and so I'm on board at the moment with Marco Montaldo as he starts his final attempt at flying lap, a qualifying time, and he's right in the toe again of João Rodrigues, just as I've seen him swapping back and forth the whole session long. So we'll see now if anyone can make any last-ditch positions up standings.
I've just picked Marco's onboard camera up so we can see how he does. I have noticed it is just ticked over to finishing, so I think they'll get to finish this lap off, won't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. So they timed that well. And so we can see Marco right in the slipstream now of João Rodrigues, who Rodrigues loses a little bit of a rear coming into the carousel there, but that's not going to cause Marco a problem quite yet. Looks like they've got another car up ahead as well. Hopefully they're, again, not going to get in the way. And we'll see if we can have any improvements. At the minute, I'm not seeing any other changes in the standings, so we'll stick with Marco and see if he can jump his teammate, who, of course, is trying to help him at the same time. So it's a bit of a weird situation for him at the moment. So they're coming through to the second half of the lap now. A tighter section of the circuit to go through. Turn 8 now, sharp right-hander, and then turn 9 up the crest, and an awkward, tricky braking into this left-hander. They're just catching this car in front now. Let's have a quick look to see who that is. That's not Martinson. His teammate though, so it was a good call. I think just about it's going to be okay for Marco, but Rodrigues may just get held up a little bit. And Marco runs a little bit wide for the penultimate corner. Should have only have just cost him half a tenth or so, hopefully. Not a great final corner either. Maybe let's see if we get any changes in times as they come over the start-finish line now. And unless it's just going to take a moment for my screen to update, it doesn't look like we had any change of position there between those couple of cars that we were following. Let's see who else is on our lap still. So we've got Peter Velkov now coming through the final corner. So he's currently in second, looking to get that extra position, but he knows it's not good enough. He's backed out of it already. Aaron Mullen, I don't think can be on a lap because he's too early in the lap. The start, the checkered flag must have come up before he crossed the line. So I think we're going to take that then as our final grid positions. So whilst we wait for everyone to grid up and get themselves ready, it just about gives us time to run through the final grid. So João Rodrigues did indeed hang on to that pole position. So great job between him and Marco Montaldo working together there. So that was a 1 minute 40.643. Peter Velkov kept that second position, just a tenth behind. Marco Montaldo in third, Wojciech Grabstein in fourth, and Nenad Matijevich in fifth. So Marco Montaldo and Nenad Matijevich are going to be line astern then starting off the line. Tony Repizard, he did put in a time, sixth. So perhaps just Tony hasn't quite got the pace here. So he did put in a decent time after that. So sixth position for Tony Repizard, seventh is Colin Cunniff, eighth is John Allett, ninth is Paul Nelson, 10th is Fabio Mentalini, 11th is Justin Lindsay, 12th Liam Williams, 13th Knut Martinson, 14th Hugo Preto, 15th Charles Sears, 16th Aaron Mullen, and Conrad Venter did not put in a time, so we'll see if he joins a grid or if he's going to be sitting this one out perhaps.
And I'm
right,
in 19th.
yeah, doing my trick from last week. So we've just got a minute or so now until we're expecting our green light. Everyone's in the process of gridding up as we speak.
I think we're going to be on for quite a good race here. The last round that we did here, we were using a slightly different variation of the track, but it was one of the most exciting races of the season. There were guys swapping positions all over the place, and I think we're going to see that as well, especially down the up the S's and down the first straight. This first corner is a little bit, it can be a bit tricky. A lot of the cars funnel through quite a sharp 90-degree turn, so there has been quite a few incidents I've seen here in the past, so hopefully everyone will get round cleanly.
Yeah,
and,
I hope so.
For a good race.
There's lots of runoff, so really, there's no excuses, but hopefully they can all get through cleanly. Right, last couple of seconds now as we wait to grid up. Final round of the inaugural GP260 series. Who's going to get that third position championship? Marco Montaldo's got the advantage at the moment. Let's see how it plays out. Can hear the revs, so they're waiting for it. And they're away. Green lights. Good start from Peter Velkov. Just coming up the outside now of Rodrigues. Not a great start from Nenad Matijevich. So as they head into turn one, Peter Velkov just slots into that second position. Runs a little bit wide, but able to use that runoff. And it looks like everybody cleanly through turn one. Good job.
We do have, is that Wojciech Grabstein looking quite racy?
Yeah, Peter Velkov though coming up on João Rodrigues, so he's taking the outside as they head into turn 5 into the carousel. He's got the line, lots more momentum there as they head into that turn 5. And further back, as you said, Grabstein and Montaldo side by side as well. So Montaldo just on the inside. Looks like Grabstein, has got that position. And Matijevich diving up the inside now, Marco Montaldo, so he's gained. So after having a little bit of a poor getaway, Matijevich has got in front of his challenger for the third position championship there, Marco Montaldo. So we've got Peter Velkov in first, we have João Rodrigues in second, we have... I might help if I keep my button pressed as I'm talking, that might allow it to come through a little bit easier. So sorry, Peter Velkov, then João Rodrigues, then Wojciech Grabstein, then Nenad Matijevich, Tony Repizard made up those positions, and then Marco Montaldo. So Marco Montaldo's lost another position then in those last couple of corners, working out at the minute for Matijevich. So it looks like a good clean first lap from everyone. I haven't seen any particular instance unless there was anything at the back that was missed whilst we were watching the leaders. Good start. Hopefully this is going to give us a good opportunity, some great racing with 17 or 16 cars depending whether Conrad took the start or not, giving us some entertainment. So Peter Velkov not really able to make a break of it after that first lap or so. So Rodriguez is definitely going to get pulled along in the tow. And of course, out of all of the cars, Peter Velkov now is the only person not in the draft. So we'll see how much that has an effect and whether we're going to see another change of position at the end of the straight here.
At the end of the first lap, all the guys got round. There was no contact throughout the field.
Great, excellent. Peter Velkov goes to the inside. He knows that Rodriguez has got the run on him. Rodriguez tries to go around the outside into turn 5, whilst Rabstein goes up the inside of Neto Matijevic. Almost three wide now as they're coming through the carousel. Just about everybody gets through. Looks like Rodriguez has got the inside line for turn 6 now. Should be able to hold this position. And Rabstein's going to go up the inside. Oh, Peter Velkov loses a rear. Peter Velkov just dropping a couple of positions there, managed to keep it out of the grass. He's down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th now. 7th position for Peter Velkov. So easy to lose a rear of these cars and these Star Mazdas when you're off the power, and that just unfortunately caught Velkov out there.
Quite easy to overheat the rear tyres on these cars as well, so you can have a little bit of sideways action and then struggle for the next couple of corners. Although he's quickly made it up past, is that Colin?
Yeah, I think that's going to be Colin Cunniff. So yeah, as you say, Peter Velkov straight back in extra position, but runs deep again, and Colin Cunniff runs up the inside of him, and Peter Velkov gets pushed wide, but keeps the momentum. Looks like Cunniff's going to have to slot in here, try not to lose the position himself, and Peter Velkov does manage to hold on to that position. Great, this is going to be how the whole race is going to be, I think, Darren. Action-packed for all the way around the lap. I'm looking forward to it. I just perhaps should have checked my batteries in my mouse before I started.
I think most of the action here is going to be up front with the leaders. And again, as they come out, we've got Rodriguez with Rabstein right behind him, and Nenad Matijevic, and Tony Repoussard. So I think we're going to have something very similar this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very close to the wall there, though.
And already holding that inside line again, coming up to the carousel. Rodriguez already up alongside, so he's got a much quicker top speed. And Matijevic shaping up for Rabstein as well, as Rabstein just flickers a little bit as well. Hopefully that connection holds on. Manages to hold that position, I'm surprised. Looked like he was going to be struggling there. So yeah, Rodriguez up into that position. Rabstein managed to hold off on Nenad Matijevic. Tony Repoussard now all over the back of Matijevic as well. He's going to be looking to pressuring and making his way up to that first position in his normal, his accustomed position.
It's all looking pretty clean as well from the events screen that we've got here. A couple of off tracks from a few of the drivers, a couple from Wojciech, Rabstein, and one from Antonelli. But apart from that, no contact.
Yeah, Rabstein just gets out of shape there, coming through that right-hander. That really backs up Matijevic and Tony Repoussard into each other. Luckily, everybody managed to keep it together, but again, like we saw with Peter Velkov, it was just losing the rear going into the corner, and very easy, as you say, just to overcook it in the tyres to struggle to hang on. I mean, these cars are so loose anyway, but as soon as they start to move around more than planned, then you've just got to bail out of it, keep it all together.
Oh, Matijevic has hit the wall.
Oh, running out wide. So he's got that free tow available, of course, if he's got any real damage. Looks like he's got a damaged front ring from what I can see, but that's really going to cost him now, I think, in his battle for that third position over Marco Montaldo. That's a shame, because he was looking strong in his first couple of laps.
It's just what happens when you push in, you're behind another car, sometimes you can get a little bit unsighted.
And it's so easy to get sucked out to that wall on the final corner as well, as Rabstein now is looking up the back of Rodriguez again as they come into the carousel. This is going to be happening lap after lap. So Rabstein round the outside. Can Rodriguez hold it inside line? Looks like he might just get that position held, as again Rabstein just struggling to keep control of the rear a little bit and has to tuck in back to that second position again. Tony Repoussard lurking in the background in third position. So the top four now have just made a little bit of a break away from the rest of the field. Peter Velkov just a little bit in no man's land, trying to bridge that gap back to the leaders. And then after that, we've got John Allett, Colin Cunniff, and Paul Nelson battling away in a little charge of their own. Just, yeah, dropping back a little bit from those leaders now.
We've also got Charles Sears and Aaron Mullen shown as pitting, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, just see a message come up in spectator chat there. So it looks like Charles Sears just lost it at some point and collected Aaron Mullen. Another run of bad luck, it looks like, from Aaron Mullen there.
This steady train of cars, though, as you say, there's a bit of a gap back to Peter in fifth in the top four, and then another little gap, and then there's another train behind.
The problem is, as soon as those little gaps develop, you know, you just lost that draft. So it's going to be difficult for that second group behind Peter Velkov to be able to claw their way up back to the leaders. It's going to take the leaders battling and holding each other up for them to be able to drag themselves back up. Of course, you know, we have got pit stops to come, so they're all forced by restriction on fuel to have to make a pit stop at some point. So that's going to create a little bit of variety as people pit at different times. As again, Rabstein got a good run on the back of Rodriguez. Tony Rebzard chooses not to take the draft. He just hangs back, waiting to see how it will develop. Looks like Rabstein's got the run this time. Is Rodriguez going to be able to hang on the inside? Rodriguez just about running a little bit wide, pushing out on Rabstein over the curb. Rabstein's got the inside now for the turn 6. He's going to take that inside line. And again, Rodriguez trying to hang on the outside. And again, Rabstein's rear very loose. Rodriguez perhaps going to have the inside now for the hairpin. Just about going to hold in. Let's hope Rabstein doesn't turn in. And he doesn't. And Rodriguez takes the position. Tony Rebzard now going to go up the inside as well. He's going to take that second position if he can manage it into the next left-hander. But he just, for now, has to tuck in. But Rabstein goes defensive. And Rebzard just hangs back. Great little battle. This is just going to be every single lap we're going to be seeing this. I just hope we don't have an instant to spoil it for now. Looks like further back we've got to change of position as well. So Colin Cunniff just making a position back on John Allett after losing that a lap or two earlier.
We've just seen Wojciech make a little bit of a mistake, and Tony Repusard is right behind him now. So I wonder whether we're going to see a bit of a change of position here. And I think Tony's being quite clever, where he's not really pushing at the start to try and make any sort of brave early moves.
It's a long race. Exactly, he's got plenty of time. Peter Velkov has made up a huge chunk of time. Peter Velkov's right on the back of Marco Montaldo now as well, so he's right back with his leaders, where just a lap ago I said he was in no man's land, so he's got the pace. Right, Tony Rebzard almost up alongside of Rabstein as well, as again Rabstein flickers a little bit, his connection struggling. Tony Rebzard's going to have to try and go around the outside. Tony will be able to hang on to this outside line. I remember seeing this before from Tony, but in fact he's already passed. He doesn't need to worry about the outside line. He's clear of Rabstein before they even get to the corner, so perhaps Tony's running quite a low downforce setup maybe compared to certainly Rabstein at least. Right, so that's Rodriguez in P1, Tony Rebzard P2, Wojciech Rabstein P3, and then Marco Montaldo in 4th and Peter Velkov in 5th. So we've got our current top 3 in the championship in the top 5 positions.
I think we've just seen Colin Cunniff overtake John Allett in the background.
Yeah, they've just been squabbling away the whole time, and that's really backed John Allett now into Paul Nelson and to Fabio Mentalini as well. As Mentalini looks to go up the inside of his teammate Paul Nelson, he breaks late, and Paul Nelson gives him the space. Luckily, he saw him coming easily. Could have been contact between the two if Paul Nelson had taken his normal line. Nelson's just going to try and hang on the inside. Mentalini sweeps around the outside. He's just going to take this position. I think Mentalini, if he can get a good exit now, coming up towards the penultimate corner, and yet Paul Nelson has to bail out of it and gives the place to Mentalini.
Jump back up with the leaders. There's going to be so much going on in this race. We're not not going to be able to cover it all here, are we?
I'm going to try not to complain compared to the commentary I have to do for the iRacing Grand Prix series, where yeah, perhaps we have one lap of this and then we can all go to bed. Right, so Rodriguez and Tony Rebzard is going to be pressuring him this time. He's going to be right up with him on the carousel. And again, we've already seen Tony's low downforce. Tony's got so much more speed than Rodriguez. Again, he's going to be clear past him before we even get to the carousel, I think. Manoeuvre's going to be done. So Rodriguez just tries to hold on to the inside line, brakes as late as he can, holds that inside line. Fair play, he's managed to gain that ground back, but Rebzard's still going to have the inside now as they come into turn 6. Let's just keep it neat and tidy, guys. Rodriguez just going to need to slot him behind, make sure he doesn't lose the position to Rabstein as well. Rabstein's got a much better drive out the corner. He could be shaping up on Rodriguez, but decides just to stay back for now. So that didn't take long now. We're on lap 7, and Tony Rebzard managed to go from his qualifying position of 6th on the grid into his accustomed 1st position. Let's see now if the train can hold on to the back of him now that he hasn't got the draft.
Well, I was thinking, I wonder how long Tony's going to hold on to this 1st position. Because if someone else gets a good run out turn 1 all the way up the straight,
yeah, you're right. Tony loses the rear coming into the corner there, so that's backed everybody right up into each other. So Rodriguez has got Wojciech Rabstein all over the back of him. Wojciech goes up the inside into penultimate corner. That's going to be tough. Again, luckily Rodriguez sees him, but he had nowhere to go. Keep it together, Rodriguez. Managed to hold it together and slot back in behind Peter Velkov. Risky move there from Rabstein. Very, very lucky that Rodriguez chose not to turn into him and take to the grass instead. Easily could have either just not seen him or decided that Rabstein would bail out of it. It was always going to be asking for trouble, but luckily Rodriguez hasn't lost too much of position. Perhaps he can claw his way back up to the grid, back up to the leaders, and of course that's given Tony Repizard the breathing space that he needs to get away now. And that was all caused, of course, by Tony losing the rear going into the second half of the lap.
Let's see how much this gap closes.
Not by much here. This is a tactical choice by Tony. I think he's gone for that low downforce setup, to try and hang on. He expects to be running in the lead in first position. He needs a setup that doesn't allow the others to get by on the draft. And as we saw, that means, of course, it's much trickier for him in the corners where he lost the rear a minute ago. So we could see a few more mistakes maybe from Tony than we're accustomed to. We'll see how it pans out. So now that Rodriguez had his little bit of a moment, Marco Montaldo now is very close to the back of Wojciech Rabstein, so he's going to be looking to hang on as they head through turn 1 in a few moments and get a good run then coming down the main straight.
What I'll do as they exit turn 1, I'll bring up a speed trace of a couple of the guys so we can see exactly who's got the best top speed.
My prediction is it'll be a similar top speed between Tony with no draft and Rabstein with the draft. Right then, so heading down the start-finish straight, Tony Repizard in first, Rabstein in second, Marco Montaldo looking to pressure. He's dropped back a little bit, but again he might be able to pull himself along now as they head out towards turn 5 in a moment. Peter Velkov just sitting in the background there, P4, waiting for things to develop. He's still, even with that error early on, he's still right in the hunt for a podium position easily. Even a win maybe if Tony makes another error. So Montaldo just dropped back a little bit from Rabstein. So yeah, sorry Darren, how are we looking for the speed trap?
Well, Rabstein's got about 5, 6, 7 kilometres an hour quicker than Tony in a straight line with the draft.
So there's potential then, but that's not bad, with Tony not having anyone to tow him along. So that's, I reckon if that was the other way around, I think we're seeing a much bigger difference. I think we're seeing a good 10k extra. But it'll be interesting to see how it changes.
It's all about getting out of turn 1 well. Getting that run.
It's that slow in, fast out. You've got to just get a nice clean entry into the corner, get on the power as early as you can, clatter over the outside curb, and you're right, it's just that long drag all the way to turn 5. I'm glad to see that so far Tony's not been able to make a break for it. He's well within the the 1.5 seconds or so that these Star Mazdas need to have that little bit of a draft effect. So the top 4 are all pretty close together, and Rodriguez is just trying to claw his way to the back of that group again after his excursion out to the grass earlier on. So he's not dropped much way either.
I think we've seen our first tactical pit stop. Knut Marston pitted lap 8. I can't see any off-track or incidents regarding his car, so I don't know if he's tactically decided to jump in the pits and take it early. Whether that's going to pay off if he's got no one to follow, it's going to be a tricky one, but we'll have to see where he ends up coming out. He's currently in 14th, so
I'm thinking Rabstein's going to be looking closer on Tony Repizard this time, so Repizard goes defensive quite early. Rabstein's going to look to have a sniffer on the outside. I don't think he's quite going to be far enough ahead to be able to take the outside line, but again, that's just going to allow Montaldo then to get a better exit on Rabstein and perhaps look to challenge. But no, Rabstein's still right there on Tony Repizard. Rabstein's going to dive up the inside here, and Tony just about gives him the car's width. Luckily, they managed to keep it together. Rabstein doesn't run wide at all. It's still almost side by side coming into the hairpin now, and finally has to relinquish the place. Tony did well, just giving Rabstein a little bit of room there. He was always shove his car up the inside of him there. Looks like we've got Aaron Mullen in the pits as well, repairing for damage presumably that we saw earlier on for Charles here. So he's struggling a little bit in the race at the minute.
We've also seen Nenad Matjevic pit on lap 9 and Hugo Preto pit on lap 9.
Yeah, so unfortunately that must have been for maybe Matejevich did not pit for his damage that we saw earlier on, so he managed to hang on then, I'm guessing, as Tony Repzard pits. So Repzard into the pits, first of leaders at the end of lap 10 to make his pit stop, and actually Rabstein's now under pressure from Marco Montaldo as well as they head into turn 1. How did that turn out? Just lost him on the cameras. Rabstein just about holding on still, and they're going to be that run up to the carousel again. The pit entry here is very, very tricky. You know, you have to slow coming around the final corner to get into the pit entry, and that just blocks everybody behind.
They keep an eye on Peter Velkov in all of this, and also Joel Rodriguez.
And Rodriguez is right there. So Montaldo round the outside of Rabstein, Rodriguez round the outside of, or now the inside of Peter Velkov, almost 3 wide coming into the carousel. Keep it all tidy, hold your lines. A little bit of blinking going on again from one of the Venezuela cars as they're side by side. Peter Velkov right up the back of them as well. The Venezuela car gives himself loads and loads of space and just runs a little bit wider on the outside, but keeps it all together. And it's just letting Rabstein just escape for a moment.
Well, this is looking like we're going to have a very interesting end of this race. I mean, we're only on lap 11 at the moment. If you were to pick someone now to win, Lee, who would you put your money on?
It'll have to be Tony, I'm afraid. I mean, there's nothing to choose between the rest of these cars. You know, they're just going to be squabbling over the whole time. But now that Tony's just got a bit of clean air after his pit stop, I think he's going to have the opportunity to bang in the laps, and we'll see where these cars come out. It's not helping themselves, of course, that they're squabbling away. You know, they're just going to be slowing themselves down even further.
They have all bunched back up again, so let's see
so
who dives in the pits.
Yeah, Rabstein looks like he's not coming in, and neither is either of the Venezuela cars nor Peter Velkov, so they all stream by for another lap. Yeah, Rabstein's made a little bit of a run for it now after the squabbling between the cars behind, and yeah, just spread things out again for a little moment. Colin Cunniff has found himself right on the back of this group now. Colin Cunniff, he hasn't pitted, has he? He was definitely in that position before. So Colin Cunniff right on the back of Peter Velkov, hanging on to this seat pack. He's done well out there in the last couple of laps. You can see how much further back John Allett is behind, and John Allett was battling with Colin just a few laps ago. So he's made a lot of ground up, has Colin.
I'm going to jump back quickly and just see whereabouts Tony is on the track. He is on his own, so we'll definitely get to see how good his setup is now.
Yeah, and again, you know, this is where his potential low downforce setup that I'm reckoning he's running is going to help as well. Running on his own, he's not going to lose as much time as the others might do if they've got to run on their own. So yeah, top 5 cars now. You're all just what, half a second or less between each and every one of them. We're on lap 12 out of 24, so halfway through the race, and all very, very close together as they come through the last couple of corners. So in P1 we've got Rabstein, in P2 we've got Rodriguez, P3 we've got Montaldo, P4 we've got Velkov, P5 we have Colin Cunniff, and of course we're waiting to see where Tony Repzard is going to end up after his pit stop. Right, so anybody coming in this lap? Rabstein, no. Venezuela cars, no. Peter Velkov, no. So everybody continuing through another lap.
They're just in John Allett.
Yeah, exactly. John Allett goes into the pits for his scheduled stop.
If I remember correctly, wasn't there a little bit of an incident last time with the pit lane here? Because the way you come out of the last corner, you've basically run out wide and you've got to dive straight across the track to get in.
Yeah,
someone gets a run at you, it can be quite easy to accidentally come straight across them.
Absolutely, that's what happens. So we saw, you know, Rabstein get blocked when Tony Repzard came in, and yeah, previously when we were at the circuit, it was Peter Velkov, I believe, coming in, and I believe that ended up in damage for Matejevich and or João Rodriguez, I seem to remember. And so it is very, very tricky because it's such a fast corner. But if you're pitting, you've got to get inside, and there's not really much you can do but sort of slow as you come around the corner, unless you want to lose a good couple of seconds at least, which when you're as close as these guys are, it could be pretty critical then to your race result. So these leading 5 cars now have really left the rest of the field behind. I mean, yes, there's a little bit of pit stops happening here and there, so perhaps that's going to draw somebody else into play a little bit. But we're looking at these 5 cars plus Tony Repzard. all fighting over those podium positions. Great stuff.
I have just noticed on the ticker that Tony is gaining. He's 27.9 seconds behind the end of the last lap. It was 28 the lap before. So he's not making a huge inroads, but he's definitely keeping up with these guys. So it's going to be very interesting to see where they all shape out.
I was about to say then that we had one of the Venezuela cars coming, as he took a very different line going into the final corner. But he continues by, perhaps just had a little bit of a moment.
I wonder if we'll see both Venezuelan GP cars in at the same time, so they can go back out and tow each other back along.
That would make perfect sense, wouldn't it? No, you're right. I mean, of course, unlike real life, we've not got to worry about sharing a teammate's pit stall or anything like that. So there's no queuing up to worry about anything. But you're right, that would be logical. You want to continue to have that advantage of towing each other around. Peter Velkov now getting closer and closer to the back of João Rodriguez. Not quite close enough to make a move into turn 5 here, but closer than he has been. Sorry, it's close to the back of Marco Montaldo, that was. And Marco Montaldo, whether that was just him accidentally pressing a button on his keyboard, or whether he has actually announced that at the end of this lap Marco Montaldo could well be pitting, so we shall see how that develops.
He's reporting there's Tony's had a little bit of an off track. I wouldn't imagine it would just be a wheel wide or something here, so it's normally a good sign that a driver is pushing.
Yeah, there's a couple of places here, especially on the exit of turn 1, that you can get an off track and it can not lose you any time at all. So yeah, hopefully for Tony's point of view, that's all it was. Right, so coming up to the end of the lap 14, so we'll see if Marco Montaldo does indeed pit in, and the fact that he's pressed that button again on the chat, I think guarantees that he will be coming in. So third position we can expect coming in, as is Rodriguez. That was for Rodriguez's benefit, of course. That's why the messages were coming in, to make sure Rodriguez knew this is when we're pitting, and like you correctly told us, Darren, to keep the draft effect going.
Actually, is that Colin Cunniff that's coming in rather than Belkov?
Yeah, it looks like it is red and white car rather than red and black. I would go along with that.
I think he's been quite clever there.
And again, yeah, absolutely, he stops himself from running out on his own. Not wrong. So Rabstein, P1, all on his own a little bit now. P2, Peter Velkov, just about maybe got a touch of draft, but he's a little bit too far back, really. I think we're going to see these two cars in at the end of this lap.
Yeah,
and
Tony's passed.
That means Paul Nelson is up into P3.
Tony's gone.
Yeah, it looks like the other cars weren't even coming out of the pit lane, right? So that's a massive gap from Tony Ripazard there. Wow, how has he gained such a massive amount of time there?
I think he's been pushing very hard, because when we flipped back to him, he was inches away from that the last corner, the barrier. And I think, actually, both the Venezuelan GP cars have had a slow pit stop, because Colin has come out in front of them. So he went in last, and he's come out in front.
So that could possibly be differences in tyres, maybe. So for these cars, you really got the option of taking no tyres or taking 4 tyres. Is there much of a gap between them, or are they running pretty close?
There's like a few car lengths between each of them.
In that case, that's. I mean, it's more of a difference than that for 4 tyres. So
let me have a look at their pit times.
Rabstein's pitting as well. Yeah, here we go. As I predicted, Rabstein in. Let's see if Peter Velkov comes in. Yes, Peter Velkov in. So all of the leaders now making their pit stops. We're expecting, as you say, Tony to be long gone by the time they come out, but we'll see where they slot in to the Venezuela cars and to Colin Cunniff.
Right, let's have a quick look at the pit times. Tony's pit was 8.8 seconds. Marco's 10.9. João Rodriguez 10.1. Colin 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a big enough difference for it to be 4 tyres. I think it costs you a lot more time to take 4 tyres than no tyres. So that was just a great stop from Colin. I don't think
Tony's passed again.
And Peter Velkov then has jumped Rabstein coming out the pit lane. They're all going to merge together coming out the final corner. Peter Velkov just ahead of Colin Cunniff, Rabstein behind, and then the Venezuela cars have really lost out in the pit stops there. Rodriguez coming out behind Rabstein. So let's have a think about that then. So that should mean that we've got Tony Ripazard in a net first position, Peter Velkov then in second, Colin Cunniff has done great, third place, Rabstein in fourth, Rodriguez in fifth, and Marco Montaldo in sixth, though we have still got another pit stop or so to sort itself out, but that's what we're going to be looking at once they all shake out. Rodriguez all over the back of Rabstein coming through the carousel there, eager to get by and keep up and latch onto the back of Cunniff and Peter Velkov, not letting disappear. How much further down the road is Tony Repsard? Yeah, good, what, 3-4 seconds it looks like for Tony, so he's, yeah, done the job.
So I think the biggest winners out of the pit stops here, Tony, quite clearly.
Yeah.
You can just see him disappearing out shot there. Velkov and Cunniff. And the losers being Rabstein and the 2 Venezuelan GP cars.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. So yeah, we'll wait and see as the rest of the race progresses if it is a strategic difference. But I think that's just pure, well, almost luck of a draw. I think the way I understand it, nobody quite understands in iRacing what it is that gains you a second or loses you a second in the pit lane. Is it just random? Is it exactly where you hit the marks? How aggressive you are stopping on the marks? I don't think anybody's quite sussed out the formula. So great job there from Colin. And Rabstein all over the back now of Colin Cunniff up the inside into turn 1. Colin's going to try and hang on but has to recede the position. Colin might get a decent run on Rabstein now coming up to turn 5, but yeah, great move there from Rabstein. Nice and clean as well. Nice safe overtake.
Just flicking back there, and I think there's a little bit of a battle going on between Liam Williams and Mantinelli. Not sure exactly what position it's for. I've just jumped back to this leaders fight.
Yeah, Colin Cunniff coming up the outside of Rabstein, as I thought, coming towards turn 5. He's going to try and hang around the outside. It's tough to do. He just runs a little bit too wide, struggles to keep control of the rear. Does a good job of keeping his momentum though, actually. Rabstein gave him loads of space, and Colin didn't lose much time. Might think about the inside here, but no, round the outside of him comes the Venezuela car. That's going to be a great move if he can get that done. That's going to be João Rodriguez trying to get by on Colin Cunniff. Might just have a sniff into the hairpin here. Colin gives him plenty of space, runs out wide, and that's straight by there for Rodriguez. Colin's got a good exit though coming out the hairpin, to be fair, it's not over yet. So Colin looks like he's just about got the edge, but he's on the outside now coming to this left-hander. Rodriguez hard on the brakes, just runs a little bit wide. Colin gives him loads and loads of space. Luckily kept it clean for the two of them there. I think Rodriguez ran a little bit hot, but managed to keep it all together, and that's just allowed Rabstein and Velkov just to creep away a little bit, of course.
Got 7 laps remaining now. These positions definitely are going to change around a little bit, I think. So we'll just see how this all plays out. Watkins is a driver's favourite track on iRacing. It's probably one of the first tracks most people tend to go out and buy. Lots of people have got some brilliant experience here, and Colin.
Yeah, he's about to have a good experience as well as he tries to come out around the outside again, coming towards the carousel. He ran a little bit too wide last time, but in fact he's almost got the position made already before they get into the corner, so he's able to take a tighter line. But Rodriguez is going to get a good exit. He was right on the apex coming through, but Colin's still got the inside now for turn 6, and it looks like he should be able to hold that position. And Rodriguez just losing the rear, keep it together. Marco Montaldo going to get blocked a little bit, but Rodriguez makes sure it all stays tidy, and that's just spread him out a little bit again, but they all kept it together. Oh, Marco Montaldo up the inside of the Venezuela car. I thought that was going to end in tears there. So which way around has that turned out? Rodriguez still just ahead of Marco Montaldo there. But yeah, Marco, I think perhaps thought Rodriguez was letting him by, and a bit of confusion between the two. As Rodriguez says sorry. Oh, Peter Velkov very, very wide coming into the corner there. Rabstein almost up the inside of him, coming out the exit. This is going to be a good battle now as they come in towards the last couple of corners, and let's see what kind of a run Rabstein can get going into turn 1. So I think, didn't quite see what happened, but Peter Velkov must have made a little bit of an error there a couple of corners back for Rabstein to close so dramatically, and he's going to be hanging on all the way up to turn 5, I think. So Tony Repizard, of course, streaking away comfortably in the lead. Peter Velkov, P2, taking a very different line to Rabstein there, coming through the fast S's. Colin Cunniff, Ben Rodriguez, and then Montaldo. What have we got? We've got Peter Velkov defending now from Rabstein, coming into turn 5 again. Looks like he's just going to be able to hold that position. Rabstein's not quite got the top speed, and Peter Velkov manages to keep that all clean and tidy. As Rabstein tries to cut back now, get a better exit coming into turn 6. Velkov has to go defensive a little bit on the grass as well, but Rabstein's not going to be able to get her eye on the outside there. But Peter Velkov just misses the apex a little bit, so again Rabstein's going to get a good exit coming towards the hairpin now, still on the outside though. Let's see how late and brave they are on the brakes. Looks like Rabstein's going to try and cut back again, get a better exit, get a better line out the corner than Velkov was. He's pretty close, he's going to have a good run now coming into the next corner. It's tricky brakings here. I see a Venezuela car getting sideways coming out the corner in the background, but Rabstein isn't able to make the move. So which Venezuela car was that? Well, let's have a look. So that was João Rodrigues, and so Rodrigues has dropped back behind Marco Montaldo now.
Just looking a little bit further back in the top 10, Nenad, as after that first, well, early lap, brush with the wall is up to 8th, and Knut Marston is in 9th. So that early pit seems to have done quite well with him, and he's jumped quite a few of the guys that were around him at the time. And rounding out the top 10 is Justin Lindsay. He's got a bit of a cushion over Hugo. Although there's is that Liam Williams coming out the pits?
Yeah, I think it was, just slotting in behind Colin Cunningham. So he's going to be a lap down now, I think. So Rabstein again, got a good run coming towards turn 5 of the carousel, so Velkov again has to go defensive. It's going to be similar to last time. I don't think Rabstein's quite got the momentum to be able to challenge properly coming into turn 5, and in fact he just drops back slightly again to maybe try and get a better line, a better exit coming out the corner. And it has worked, but it won't quite be enough now for this left-hander. So again, next opportunity is going to be the hairpin. And again, he does get a good exit coming out, but there'll be line astern still for now. So yes, I mean this battle's just drawn Colin Cunningham into Peter Velkov and Rabstein a little bit now, as they've just been swapping away slightly. So Colin's still got a good sniff at a podium position.
Just picked up Rabstein's on board, so we can get a good view of this action, especially as Peter Velkov gets very sideways there. I would take us through a lap, but I think it's probably best if we just watch the pictures.
I'll hash my way through doing a lap, I reckon. So heading over towards the start-finish line, as I said, tucked up right underneath the rear wing of Peter Velkov. We're closing coming into turn 1. You're going to brake just after the change of surface there, cut the corner and inside, misses the apex there, run out very, very wide, just miss the grass on the left. Peter Velkov just clips it. You can get an off track there, but not really losing any momentum. Completely flat all the way through the S's, rising the whole time. And then again, Rabstein's just going to be closing the whole time in the slipstream. You can see Peter Velkov's car just getting larger and larger as Peter holds that line, defending. Rabstein just comes out a little bit early, realises, tucks back in. Heading up now to turn 5 into carousel. Very, very quick, just down 2 gears, I reckon. Try and keep momentum. Probably wouldn't be using the brakes at all, just using the engine to slow down. Rabstein's got a great run through that corner, much closer now coming into the left-hander. Hard on the brakes, down into 2nd or 3rd. Want to be tighter to the left. Velkov just runs wide a little bit early. Rabstein's going to get a much better drive coming out the corner. Velkov goes defensive into the hairpin. It's cambered here heavily. You can really go in very, very quick, brake late. Not quite as late as Velkov did though. Missed the apex again. Rabstein's going to get a great run coming out the corner now. Velkov, I reckon, is going to go defensive. Otherwise, Rabstein's going to dive up the inside now, coming into this right-hander. Tricky braking, it's downhill. Rabstein goes for it, goes up the inside, just about holds it. Velkov gave him loads and loads of space, but Rabstein was all over the back of him. Uphill now, it's hard on the brakes again. Tricky braking, the rear wants to get away from you now. Tuck that inside line again. Good drive out the corner again from Rabstein, but better also from Velkov. Penultimate corner now, very quick, just down a gear probably. Maybe just leaving it in the gear they were in actually. And again, just down a gear here for the final corner. Just missed the curve on the inside. Velkov loses the rear slightly. Rabstein gets a good run out the corner. Rabstein's going to be up the inside now. But actually, Rabstein, I heard him lift as they come through the corner. He's chosen not to try and go up the inside of turn 1 there. He's going to wait for turn 5. I'm just going to talk this through for a minute. I think this is easy. So Rabstein just did lose a little bit of momentum actually coming out of turn 1 there, but he took the sensible choice actually coming down the start-finish straight, not diving up the inside of turn 1. That'll do me for now.
I'm going to stay on board with him though, because I think we're going to see He affected the
it's going to happen
slipstream.
again. Here we go, it's around the outside, and whilst we've been on board, Colin Cunniff now I see is right up behind him. Colin Cunniff's right in there as well, right with them, almost 3 wide coming into the carousel, and Rabstein goes very, very wide to try and hang around the outside. He's going to get Velkov now coming into this next left-hander. Cunniff's having a sniff as well, and that means Montaldo's right with him as well. Velkov going to lose the rear, Colin Cunniff, contact. Looks like they just get away with it. I think no damage really, I don't reckon they've got away with it. But we've seen that a couple of times. I think it was the same corner we saw Velkov lose the rear. Colin! Contact definitely that time between Colin and Peter. Hopefully there's no damage to the rear front wing of Colin especially. But I think Colin just overcooked it a little bit coming into the hairpin there. Montaldo's got Colin Cunniff. But I'll say that. Colin Cunniff did a good job of breaking late, held around the outside. I was surprised with that. I thought Montaldo there had the move done, but no. Colin Cunniff held the position. Have a breath for him.
By the looks of it, according to the stats that I've got up, there was no actual contact between the cars there.
Perhaps 0 contacts were coming up then, I reckon. Yeah, first one looked like the lightest of touches. I think they get away with that. Second one, to me, first look only, it looked like Colin did get into the back of Peter Velkov. I'd be surprised if there's not damage to the front wing of Colin. Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, perhaps they did get away with it. My display's not really showing any damage, I don't think. To Colin, yeah, maybe a little bit of a bent on the left side.
Yeah, I think we can see a bit of a bend.
So hopefully that's not going to affect him too much. Right, so that's just strung the 4 of these plus Liam, who's a lap down, out a little bit now. Montaldo's got a good opportunity on Colin Cunniff in the next lap or so. But we'll see if they just manage to congregate back together again as they've kept doing through the race. Oh, by the way, this is a penultimate lap, lap 23. When did that happen? So I'm glad I didn't miss that for another lap. So Tony Ripzard, 1 more lap to go after this. He's all on his own again, don't forget.
Tony has had a fantastic season.
He's just put everybody in his place, isn't he? I mean, everybody's known that Tony was the man to beat before coming into the season, but I don't think many people thought perhaps he would be quite as dominant as he has been. I mean, let's have a quick reminder for myself. How many races is Tony going to have won after today? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 out of 18 races won. I mean, that's insane. Well, he has got 1 more lap to make it about 14. Right, so Tony Ripzard crosses the start-finish line for his final lap. Position 2 just comes round the final corner as Tony Ripzard disappears into turn 1. That's Rabstein, and then Velkov, and then Colin Cunniff, and then Marco Montaldo. Rodriguez, of course, dropped a little way back earlier on after having a bit of a moment exiting the hairpin. I think it was, perhaps just touched the grass. I think this battle is just going to settle down a little bit, so we've still got a little bit of an opportunity for Rodriguez, maybe on Colin Cunniff, Montaldo, sorry, on Colin Cunniff. We'll see how much of a run he can get coming up to turn 5. Colin doesn't feel the need to go defensive at all, so he's happy with that. It's pretty comfortable, but now he just moves around a little bit, and actually, Velkov gained a massive amount of time on Rabstein there. He was right up at the back of him coming into turn 5, whereas he had dropped a long way back. So, still got half a lap to go. Anything can still happen. Montaldo goes up the inside, I thought, of Colin Cunniff there. Just distract Colin a little bit, maybe. Runs a little bit wide. That's going to give Montaldo a good run. Tony Ripzard, 3 corners to go. So it looks like now 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th are just hanging all together. Line astern still, I think. Rabstein looks pretty secure in that 2nd, as does Velkov in 3rd, though he just runs onto the grass just to prove me wrong. It's just whether Montaldo can get up the inside of Colin Cunniff. Right, Tony Ripzard, final corner, final round of the season, Season 1 champion, 14 wins out of 18 races. Very, very well done to Tony. Rabstein now P2, coming through the final corner, keeps it tidy, crosses the start-finish line. P3 for Peter Velkov. P4 for Colin Cunniff, just missed out on that podium position. P5 Marco Montaldo. P6 João Rodriguez. P7 John Allett, he wasn't far behind after all of that. And neither in fact was, is that Matejevich in the background? My camera is struggling a little bit. No, that was one of the lap cars, that was Conrad Benter. So I think 8th position then is Paul Nelson, and then P9 is Matijevic just crossing the start-finish line. P10 Justin Lindsay crosses the line now. P11 Knut Martinsen. P12 is going to be Hugo Preto just coming around the final corner now, and everybody else looks like they're a lap down.
Looks like we may have a slight glitch with the results here because I'm missing someone. I'm missing Paul Nelson off my standings. So
cool. iRacing shows him in 8th at the minute, so hopefully that's how it will remain from him. Hopefully there's no glitch within iRacing itself. So
I think he joined the session after we loaded the overlay up. So
cool. Right, well, just as we had hoped and had predicted, what a great race that was. I mean, second half of it especially just flew by. As I said, nearly missed the final lap there as Tony Ripzard was going to cross the start-finish line. Great battling from the top 5-6 cars for most of the race. That's different strategy from Tony Ripzard pitting, a good, 5 laps, maybe a little bit more, earlier than the other group. That worked out so much better for him than the others. Disappeared off into the distance and just left them with a great battle for between 2nd position and 6th position. Turn 5, that's where all the action was happening.
Right, I'm going to jump back so we can have a look at the start, hopefully without me accidentally hitting the replay button on the run down to turn 1. Right, let's see if we can get this sorted.
So just while you're sorting out the start, I'm just having a quick think about the championship standings. So I said earlier on, Tony Ripzard, P1, he had obviously won the championship a good few races ago. That was safe and secure. Peter Velkov secured 2nd position, I reckon. And then Montaldo did get that 3rd position over Nenad Matijevic. The only other significant change I'm thinking we're probably going to have is that Rabstein would have jumped a position or so, finishing considerably ahead of John Allett. Those were all positions within our sort of prizes numbers as well, so that's going to be a little bit of changes in his last race. Main thing being a whole extra $20 for Marco Montaldo.
That's been one intense race. There we go, we've got a replay at the start now.
Cool, excellent. I remember it being a pretty clean start from everyone, really. Good first corner, wasn't it, going into turn 1. It was pretty even from the front 3 or 4 cars. Nobody really gaining a massive amount until really Nenad Matijevic started making his way through the field on the first lap, and Tony Ripzard doing the same, really.
I've seen we've got Colin in the Ready for Interview channel. Shall we drag him up?
Yeah, I think so.
See what he's got to say for that race there. Let's move him up.
Good evening, Colin. Congratulations on a great race, or maybe commiserations on just missing out on that podium position. How was it for you?
At the start it was quite frustrating because I seemed to be going backwards even though I had the pace. I seemed to catch up with everybody, and then I sort of tried to give myself a gap, and then everybody would back up, and then the guy behind would take over, and I was starting to get a bit annoyed. And then once I got past John, and then I realised they had a bit skinnier wing than me, or it seemed to be, so I knew I had to try and get past them. Then I managed to fight my way past. Then sort of just catching up with the leaders there. I had the pace, and it was very bizarre. I'm sort of happy to be 4th, but at the end I had the pace to sort of fight for 2nd. It was just really strange.
It was great entertainment. I mean, as long as you're able to hang with that group and hang in their draft, then you're always in and amongst it. Just looking back at your results in the second half of the season, Colin, it's been a strong second half of the season. So apart from one DNF and one race where you didn't start anyway, you've had 5th places and better pretty much the whole way through the rest of the season. So you've got to be happy with the with that consistency that you found.
Well, considering how much more I've did since the update came out with this car, that's actually quite a staggering statistic. I was actually faster in the first half of the season, but yeah, that's interesting. If that's the way it is, then yeah, maybe I'm giving this car a bit too much stick.
Well, I'd say it's got to be something that's enjoyable, hasn't it? But as I said, consistency, that looks like it was getting you there. We had a little bit of contact, didn't we, in the last 2-3 laps between you and
Peter
Velkov? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I was a bit miffed when I was following Wojciech round the left-hander, and Peter just came right across me. I had to take to the grass to avoid a contact, and then going into the next corner, he just backed up quite a lot. Even I was going slower than I was before, but he just backed up even more. I was just unavoidable. If I'd braked any harder, then I would have just spun the car right round. So nothing really I could have done.
It looked like you got away with just minimal front wing damage. Didn't really seem to hurt your pacing.
Just going into the next corner every lap, I just could not get the front end into that turn at all after that. But yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt me too much. I just managed to keep Marco behind. He was a bit too nice about it, I think, actually. Anybody else probably would have just dived up the inside. He was there a couple of times in the last couple of laps, but yeah, no, I trust Marco. Raced against him a lot before. So I know what to expect, and he's one of the nicest guys.
Well, we were really glad that it, for the vast majority of the race, stayed good and clean between a lot of you. You know, it was such close racing.
Yeah.
And really, we had very, very little instance, especially compared maybe to the previous few races that we've had. So, so that was great to see.
Yeah, everybody loves this track. It's just great for racing on it. I mean, it's even hot lapping. It's just one of those tracks that everybody loves because they take a lot of places and they really close. It's really wide in places. It's just really great to race on, and everybody knows how much room to give each other.
Great. Well, it was a pleasure racing with you as well, Colin, and commentating you on this season. We're yet to announce, of course, our plans for season 2, but everyone racing in this first season are going to get first dibs. So you're going to perhaps look to join us again in the Star Mazda for when we do run it?
It depends. Like I said at the start, I'm just not really enjoying this build of the car at the moment. So I don't know if I'll actually be racing the Star Mazda next season or not. But we'll see how it goes. If they update the car and it seems to be a lot more fun to drive like it was before, then yeah, I'll definitely be in there. I'd just like to say thanks to you guys as well for making all this possible. It's just been brilliant, and thanks to the sponsors, GT Omega and Sims Daily and things. Without them, it's been goodness, and everybody appreciates everything that you've done. It's been amazing, guys.
All blushing now. It's a good job we're just on voices.
Good.
Thank you very much, Colin. And also, we hope for a good change to the tyre model that suits you, and we shall hopefully then see you again.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Colin. Right, the only other person there is Mr. Williams, so I'm going to drag him up and ask him what he did wrong. Liam.
Hello.
Good evening, Liam. I'm afraid you're going to have to tell us about your race because we didn't really see anything of you. There's way too much excitement going on in the top 6 positions, so you'll have to take us through your race, I'm afraid.
Well, I can tell you the off tracks that
well,
that
first
Liam got.
lap I spun at the carousel. I think Fabio Mantellini braked a little bit early, so Justin went wide and I went wide to avoid him. Managed to keep it out of the wall but spun, and then I was about 6 seconds behind anybody. Managed to just get some good laps in. Caught up just before I pitted early on lap 9. Then I was battling with Nenad until Fabio came out in front of us. And then I had some good side-to-side battling with him until he missed a gear into the carousel and we both went into the wall. And that was my race, basically.
It was not the best race this week, especially after last week's brilliant second place.
That was a week before.
Was it?
I think.
Yeah,
was last
I'm
week.
afraid so. Yeah, an extra week has gone by since then, I think. But yeah, you're right.
Oh.
It was
It's all gone
not
downhill
quite a
since
strong
then.
race. Yeah. Well, at least now we're in the season. You haven't got much more. There's no more hill to continue down. At least. We're just saying to Colin, of course, Liam, that we don't know exactly what the plans are going to be yet for season 2. But are you going to be looking to sign up for that if and when it does get announced?
Possibly. I think a lot depends on how all the cars that I want to drive are after the new build, because I may well just concentrate on the Formula One. If the Lotus 49 comes out, that could be a fun one. But yeah, I'll definitely give it a thought. I mean, it's been a great season. I didn't think I'd get top 10 in the championship as well, but managed 10th, so really happy with that. Yeah, it's been a really fun season as well.
Well, we are glad that you have enjoyed it as much as we have, then, Liam. Thank you very much. We shall see you again at some point, no doubt. And thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Right, well, I think then, Darren, that's looking like us about done. Not seeing anyone else looking for interview. We will confirm the championship standings, of course, in the main GP260 thread on the iRacing forum, and also you can find those championship standings on the ARL-TV website, ARL-TV.com, right, Darren?
ARL-TV.com.
I do apologise, damn it. At least I checked. At least I assumed that I knew it was going to be. So, to confirm the final championship standings, which will tally up very soon, that's where you can find them. The prize draw, Darren, for the GT Omega rig
Goodies, yeah.
and goodies, yeah, exactly. That's all going to be announced on Sunday evening, right?
Yeah, we're looking at doing that on the Strength of Field F1 live stream that we do on a Sunday evening. That starts at 7 PM GMT. So what? Sorry, BS2 we're in now, aren't we?
Yeah, very so. 6 o'clock GMT, 7 o'clock British Summer Time.
So I'm not sure. We probably won't do it in the middle of the race, but we'll either do it at the beginning or the end. But I'll jump in the thread and I'll let you all know when we're going to do it. I've just got a few things to plan now, and we're going to do all the prize draws there for both the GP260 and also for the ARL premium members draw. So that's guys that have taken part in this league, as well as the guys that have taken part in other events on the ARL, for instance F1, etc. So I'm going to have a very busy weekend working out all the entries for that, and then they're going to be drawn randomly out the hat, and then we'll confirm all the prizes and get them issued to everybody. It may be Sunday evening, it may be Monday. It's just because we've got a bit of admin side to do, and the guy that I know is working towards his pro license, so hopefully I don't want to disturb him too much at the moment. Being Alex, who's been one of the commentators for this for the last couple of weeks, which is part of the reason why we're up here now. So hopefully on that Sunday, not only will you get to see a good race of some of the top guys in iRacing round Spa, which is always going to be a good one, and it'll be interesting to see who is Roman Grosjean going into La Source on that one, because there's going to be an incident. Hopefully it's not going to affect anybody's race, but it's a very tight corner, and we'll be able to sort out all the rest of the goodies and tell everyone what they've won.
Cool. I reckon we need to do the draw at the end of the race rather than the beginning, so at least everybody has to sit through the awesomeness that's just going to be Spa if they want to find out the results of that.
I think that's a good idea as well. That's what I was thinking.
Right, what else have we got to do? Driver of the day, Darren, what do you reckon? I'm having a little look through the standings here, and I reckon if Colin got on the podium, I'd have given it to Colin, because he really fought his way back up to that lead group after really being a fair chunk of a way back earlier on. Otherwise, I'm thinking maybe my driver of the day is going to be Wojciech Rabstein. I was second position. Really with Tony Ripsard leading. Where in the race, where else can you expect to finish? So I think the second position is as good as a win with Tony in the field. And I was maybe a little bit wary of Rabstein in parts of races where I thought he was going to maybe take riskier moves, but actually risk versus reward, it worked out quite nicely for him. He played it safe and kept it under control when he needed to, and finished up with that strong second position.
I think you've summed it up. That's exactly my thoughts. Tony obviously destroyed the field again. Wojciech Rabstein had a brilliant race, really controlled. Nice to see him out there making calculated decisions when to go to moves. I think he'll be pleased with himself today. And Colin, commiserations for missing out on the podium. But, again, brilliant drive.
Great.
So-
Well, I think we're going to be wrapping up then, Darren. So, of course, thanks to the sponsors then. So, GT Omega Racing, of course, providing the prizes as we ran through a moment ago, and sponsorship to our broadcast generally. ARL, that'd be you really, Darren, isn't it? Providing the hosting and organising the events. Don't forget, we're on Facebook and Twitter and all of the normal bits and pieces. And thank you to all of the drivers completing in this season. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes. So you're going to help me fill in any names I missed in a second, Darren. But we've had Tim helping us out with admin duties earlier on in the season. Of course, we've had Alex and we've had Andrew Woodhouse helping to commentate, along with Dean Prescott. Yourself, of course, Darren. Who else have I forgotten? There's got to be somebody else in the background. No, good. Perhaps I got everybody.
I think that's everybody.
Excellent.
If there is anyone I've forgotten, I apologise.
And at least I passed the buck to you for that, if you remember, so you can get the blame for that. Right, thank you very much, guys, for joining us. We really enjoyed Season 1. Announcements for Season 2 will happen at some point. Yeah, we're just going to have a little bit of a breather, have a little look at the format and decide if there's any tweaks that we want to make. But we're really thinking there will be a Season 2 of GP260, so keep your eyes peeled in the Star Mazda iRacing forum, and announcements will be there at some point in the future, no doubt.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Darren, for working the cameras and keeping me keep me company doing the commentary. I know it's hard work doing the double duty, and thank you for organising the series as well. And we shall see you again.
Thank you, guys, and we'll catch you again soon.
Bye bye.
Take your hobby to the next level with a quality racing rig that works great with a PS3, Xbox 360, and a PC. GT Omega Racing Simulator is compatible with a wide range of steering wheels, including Logitech, Fanatic, Thrustmaster, and more. The GT Omega is available now worldwide by going to www.gtomegaracing.com.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first.